To put this episode in context for my international audience, here in Crazyland, we just got done with the Christmas season. And when I say we got done, I do mean everybody. Even if you don't celebrate it, even if you don't celebrate anything at all that time of year, you really can't get away from it. It's everywhere. See, here, the religious celebration of Christmas has been gradually superseded by a secular celebration with a similar name. A lot of people get all ticked off about that, but I don't see why. I mean, originally, this time of year was a pagan holiday about the solstice. Then later on, other people turned it into a Christian holiday about, well, duh. Now in modern-day Crazyland, it's mostly a secular celebration of capitalist excess. Hell, Coca-Cola even thought up a new deity for it, and now there's a whole bloody pantheon of them. But it's not like the other versions went anywhere, so what's the problem? Now, anyway, as a kid, I went to Catholic school. That right there should explain a lot about the way I tend to behave during these shows, right? These days, I'm more likely to describe my spiritual affiliation as agnostic. Most people who claim that label are just atheists with commitment issues, but I'm fairly sincere about it. The utter lack of a spiritual world is as resolutely unprovable as the existence of one, so far as I can see, and besides, militant atheists are some of those boring people you're ever going to meet. And while I'm no fan of organized religion, I've never signed on with the notion that all religions are bad, although of course I can probably name 2 or 3 that aren't really behaving themselves right now. Is there a God? I don't know, but if there is, I kind of doubt it's an omnipotent daddy figure, or some kind of ethereal matron draped in a gown of stars, or whatever else. But is there a higher level of intelligence and or existence beyond us? Geez, I sure as hell hope so. Even just finding out that it's been the aliens all along would be preferable to an entire civilization's having risen and fallen at the whim of what amounts to bad fan fiction this whole time. Now, for my part, I'm partial to the theory that humanity's perception of what gods actually are changes over time. Back when we were club and cave painting enthusiasts, we seemed to think natural forces themselves were gods, and then we slid up the chain a bit and envisioned anthropomorphic supermen lording over said natural forces, and those were gods. And then some of us got it in our heads that one Superman and maybe his kid were in charge of the whole bloody thing. Maybe that's why things are so messy over religion right now. We're on schedule to change up the narrative again, but we haven't worked out the details. Now, this is just me pitching here, but you know what might be a nice change of pace? What if we tried gods you followed without necessarily believing in? Actually, this is sort of what the word Gnostic originally sort of meant. Gnostics were a sect of early Christians who believed it didn't matter whether or not anything in the book was true or not. It was good advice, so they figured they might as well follow it. You could probably build a whole bunch of relevant modern-day religions around that very logic. And who better to do so than the folks who are already the high priests of popular mythology? Nerds! For example, with great power comes great responsibility. That's a pretty good commandment so far as I can see, right? So why not worship Spider-Man? There's certainly no shortage of Holy Scripture to choose from, and you could put the Spider Vatican in Queens. Maybe get Alex Ross to paint the ceiling. Hell, even I'd get up early on Sunday for that. And isn't Superman basically Jesus meets Moses but from space already, when you get right down to it? Hell, Thor already was a god. That'd be a comeback for him. Actually, we've kind of gotten in on this already, haven't we? In 2001, hundreds of thousands of people started listing their religion as Jedi on census forms. Supposedly, the world's largest concentration of practicing Jedi are in New Zealand. It would actually be the second largest religion in that country if it were officially recognized, and really, why shouldn't it be? You know who would get big into this? Japan. Can you imagine if Bandai decided to start calling those giant Gundam statues shrines to the Church of Gundam? Church of Harui, anyone? You bet your ass I'd sign up for Godzilla-ism. Or, if worshipping established fictional characters is perhaps a little gauche, we could always just hire fiction writers to come up with new gods. Alan Moore already did that, but it was only for him. C.S. Lewis hit on the idea that Jesus would be cooler if you were a magic lion, right? Jack Kirby called a bunch of his characters the new gods. I bet Grant Morrison would be all over this. Science fiction writers especially probably have a lot of good ideas in this regard. Let's just forget to mention the project to Orson Scott Card and Harlan Ellison, though, just to be safe. I mean, what's the worst that could come out of that, right? Oh, yeah. Never mind. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.